Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Byrd Brains. I'm Rob Reel from Corn Country 100.3. You can catch me in the morning, whether it's on your radio dial or on the app or TuneIn Radio, whatever you want to listen to. I think I got all my shameless plugs in. And then we're in the bin in downtown Franklin on Jefferson Street. Huge picture window behind me. Oh, look at the pants on that one. Good grief.
Sweet.
God, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over this woman's pants on the other side of the window. To my right is David Byrd. Across from me is driver extraordinaire Brian Clausen. Jonathan Byrd II is
chicken cook extraordinaire.
Yes, born with a chicken leg in his mouth. He is to my left, and there is a woman outside in a lovely pair of what can only be described as pajama pants. That's not SpongeBob. I don't recognize the cartoon character on there. I don't know if she's headed to Walmart, but I know where she's not headed to, and that's
your good bridges. We're going to Walmart.
I know where she's not headed, and that's a thriving cardiology practice. So,
can we stop for 1 second?
Yeah.
Brian's extraordinaire.
Yeah.
He's a chicken cook extraordinaire.
You're the brainchild. You're the one who came up with this brilliant idea.
Can we say something extraordinaire?
Marketer extraordinaire?
Okay.
He clearly
Male model extraordinaire.
He clearly didn't like that. Well, all right. What do you got?
Right.
What do you got, Mr. Marketing
I don't
Brainchild?
know. You know what? You say that, but I got to think about it.
Okay.
I'll come up with something.
He stopped the whole thing, and now he's speechless.
Well, I thought Rob would come up with something extraordinary.
Way to bring it to a grinding halt.
You're the David Byrd extraordinaire.
Yes.
You're the best you that you can be.
Oh, God, thanks, Tony Robbins.
Because I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
And Stuart Smalley just joined us, too.
Doggone it. People like me. I even did the doggone it. So
Doggone it.
It's a podcast. We actually can swear. I don't know that I can. I mean, I'm physically capable. There's one of the questions.
Cuss word in 3, 2, 1. He can't do it. No.
One of the sugar. One of the most often asked questions I get. First thing I run into when people meet, you're taller than you sound on the radio, which I've gotten that so many times in real life, and I still haven't figured out exactly what it means. But
everybody sounds the same when you talk when you share their voices.
On the sorry, you're taller than you sound on the radio.
There we go.
So
vary it up a little bit.
After I get, can you get me Kenny Chesney's phone number?
Yes.
I often get, how do you not cuss on the radio? Which I don't know, because spend enough time with me in real life and I use the F word a lot. It's like one of my favorites. And there is something that happens in my brain. The phrase I use is when the light goes on, because literally there's the on-air light outside the studio. When the light goes on, I have never, knock wood, had trouble not swearing. I don't have to think about it for whatever reason. Just something happens in my brain. And now that we're in this situation where I could use one of those fantastic 7 words that Mr. Carlin advised against, I can't really bring myself to do it. So anybody got any cursing that would get out of the way?
My wife's going to listen, so I better just not.
That's probably wise.
My wife does all the cursing, so
she
takes it all up.
I would have expected him to go, my mom's going to listen. So,
well, yeah, we can't make Mama Jenny unhappy.
Mom's got the potty mouth more than anybody.
I have a hard time picturing that. I really do.
I learned it from you, okay?
I learned it by watching you. I cannot picture that now that I think about it. I'm really trying to envision Mama Jenny
she is an angel.
Just cussing a blue streak in the kitchen.
Yes.
Well, you weren't her son, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah. John might have exaggerated just a little bit.
I keyed.
Just a wee bit. All right. What was Mama Jenny's implement of choice when it came to the whooping? Rolling pin, go out back yonder and cut me a switch.
You're implying that there was a need for a whooping?
The Byrd children are angels.
What exactly are you implying?
We have a word for this. It's called lying, gentlemen.
I got the belt once or twice, maybe.
Well, F word. I can't think of it.
See, I would think I could picture Dad being
that was
being
the belt. That was the belt.
That was the belt, no problem.
That was
So,
the belt. Mom, what was
She
Mom?
was she was a spanker. You
I mean,
know,
we're
just
outside the
open hand,
statute
you
of
know.
limitations, so CPS isn't going to show up or anything.
Yeah, I mean, was it a spatula? She have to go to Spatula City.
We make spatulas.
And that's all. That's like the Wayback Machine right there.
You have to be of a certain age to appreciate the
Sorry, Brian, you're outside the loop on this one.
supplies. You have to, of a certain age.
I think Mom was probably just the hand. I don't recall any instruments. Dad was
Or
definitely
it's
the
more
belt.
like, her implement was your father.
Yeah.
You wait till your father gets home. In my case, it was my grandfather, raised by my grandparents in L.A. That's Lower Acton. There were no more terrifying words than my grandmother saying, "Go upstairs and wait till your grandfather gets home." Because you just sat and you stewed until Granddad got there, and then there's always the long drag off the cool, the menthol cigarette. Boy, what the hell did you do this time?
He could just leave it dangling there while he beat you.
Yes. He's the kind of, he could ride a motorcycle and it would just be dangling. And actually, he could have probably driven an Indy car and had it dangling.
Feels like Gary Bettenhausen.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think, well, and with Dad, too. I mean, Dad was not a small man, kind of a big guy. People that know him or know who he was. I mean, and the belt, if I recall, it was like a 52-inch, 54-inch belt. So that got some
3
speed.
inches wide.
Some speed going at the end of the belt, too.
The double holes all the way around.
No, it was a wide belt.
Okay.
Yeah, it had some big britches he held up.
Yeah.
So it was a big belt.
Did he have like that one pull move that he could just unhook and
Yep. Yep.
One-handed.
Folds it up, snaps
yeah.
it, does the little snap.
all of a sudden he's Indiana Jones ready to go. See, Brian is young enough. Brian Clausen is young enough that you grew up in that era where we don't spank our children.
He got time out. He started in California,
Now,
so
You're going to the rear of the field. No more pull for you.
He's younger and he started in California. All right, now Brian, you use your words.
You don't get to race today, young man. No.
Okay, well you can race, but only after you tell me why you're in timeout. He's blushing a little because
I don't even know where to go.
he's like, this is too real.
You're bringing back bad memories.
Well, it doesn't help that Brian's mom is probably my age. How old is your mom?
She is mid-40s.
I'm sorry, she's how old?
Mid-40s.
I'm 41. I was exaggerating, but yeah, your mom's not a whole lot older than I am. So yeah, so you're just use your words, and you're gonna sit on the timeout stool. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
I usually their go-to is the race car, so they
Okay.
have that.
Well,
We will run you down with a race car.
We will mow you down.
well, you've lost helmet privileges,
Exactly.
and until you can tell us what you did wrong and why it was wrong, you don't get your helmet back. I'm sorry, I'm drifting into the church lady now. But don't we feel a little bit superior? All right, so how long were you in California before you came to Indiana?
I was 9 when I moved here.
That's about the time to go. You were already smarter than everyone in Los Angeles by the time you were 9. I promise you that. So,
Apologies to our Los Angeles listeners.
both of you. The Los Angeles listeners are like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Pass me the granola. Can we get some guac on this? Is this gluten free? I need some kale. And I'm sorry, kale is just cabbage with a good publicist. I need a kale smoothie. Oh my God. So that's the sum of my Los Angeles experiences. So, did you drive quarters in California?
Yeah, I started racing quarter midgets in California, and then moved back here, and I raced quarter midgets in Indy, and then obviously and continued on my way up.
I do think everyone at the table has driven at some point, yes?
I had a glorious four race quarter midget career.
So,
I just pretty much accomplished everything I needed to accomplish in racing and hung up the helmet.
so you just did walk off.
Pretty much. I was like, what was the Duke Snyder? Just, hit victory lane and retired. Ray Haroon, retired, won the big one and retired.
John Elway gets his second Super Bowl and walks off into the sunset.
I was pretty much, it's almost equivalent to that.
You were the John Elway of quarter midgets.
Yes, that's what it was. They said don't pass on the outside, and I made a pass on the outside and figured that was all there was left to it.
His dad had him a special set of matched tires. Staggered special. Said, David, if you go to the outside, it will hold.
I heard a story the other day of someone naming his child Cole Trickle, whatever the last name was, because I don't want to embarrass him. He may or may not have also named a different child Maverick. True story. So
Their daughter's Katie.
Well, he probably goosed his wife to get Maverick.
wow. Watch your head, Goose. So how did you finish in that glorious 4-race career, David? How'd you do? A lot of red flags in that?
I think there was
a lot of black flags.
I think there was one crash. There was I finished. I think I finished 3 races. I crashed once, and that was it. And we just decided to call it quits after that.
Jonathan Byrd II, any driving for you?
I actually owned a Baby Grand stock car, raced it for 3 seasons, and spent way too much money. And my problem was I was a car owner as well as the driver, so I never, unlike Brian who can handle that, I could not put myself out there to push it too hard.
There was nobody to fire,
because,
by the way.
Well, that yes, and I didn't like fixing my crashes.
There's something slightly ironic about JB running a Baby Grand.
Baby Grand, yes, yeah.
Oh, wait.
Shots fired.
A Baby Grand.
I just forgot. I actually raced a mini cup race.
Yes, at the speedrome.
And
you crashed that one too.
I didn't crash, did I?
You spun out really. You
That's what I say.
We told you to go ahead and hit the pace car because you hit everything else.
I can't remember if I crashed. I don't know.
I got spun.
He didn't wreck you. He didn't
I did
bump
get
you.
crashed.
He didn't nudge you. He rubbed you. And rubbing's racing.
I also raced I actually raced a Kenyan car as well.
Okay.
I did at the speedrome a few times, and I raced the very last race in the Dome in the Kenyan car.
Huh.
Yeah,
No, see.
so
There you go.
that was
He's a
kinda
veteran.
Yeah.
But I won the
He's-
speedrome championship in 2000. I won the Rookie of the Year Region C Baby Grand Championship in 2001.
How many
And
more?
I won the
Was there
2002
full
Indianapolis
24
Speed-
letters?
How
On
many
that region?
How many more qualifiers can you get? I won the Region
It was
C.
Region C. It was the Rookie of the Year.
Region C, A4, B6 bingo
There were at least
championship.
3 other guys I was racing.
Get that man a contract.
You're listening to,
And I
the
finally
relief
paid off
driver.
that bill 13 years later.
You're listening to the relief driver
I was-
for the Jonathan Byrd Racing Indy 500 program.
I was
over here.
at my brother's first win. It was in a race with 2 cars, and he did win. It was quite an impressive performance.
There were more
I
than 2
must say.
cars that race.
No,
wasn't
you had
there?
that Australian pursuit
that
race.
was
Well,
one. I did win that race, yes.
Well,
but I
the
had won a
Australian
race
was
with
going
more
around
than
the other way.
2 other cars.
Yeah, it's going backwards.
Oh,
No, they
and
call that a figure.
don't forget Stephen Johansson's karting center. I won racing with Dio nights a couple times.
Yeah, that was big. That
That's
was a big
right.
deal.
That's
No,
right.
That was serious. There
Yeah.
were 50, 60 guys there those nights.
I did beat Stewart a couple times on the
there we
go-kart
go.
track.
Angie's List Grand Prix. David,
That's right.
David Byrd coming up.
There you go.
Well, we're
Now-
going to see how Brian does this year, and we'll
Part of why
might step in.
Part of why I'm amused on the shots fired of JB2 in a Baby Grand is
Big
I grew up in a get in my bag. I grew up in a racing
I want
family.
your baby.
I grew up in a racing family as well. My mom's dad is the late Troy Sexton of the family who built the Speedrome. The
Brian's
Sexton-
favorite track.
my great grandfather, his claim was that he invented the figure eight. Now I think everybody sitting
And Walmart.
yeah, I think everybody sitting at this here in the bin would agree that it's dubious as to whether he invented it, but it is certainly fair to say that the speedrome is what made the figure eight famous. Yeah. So that's close enough.
Figure racing started at the speedrome. There's no doubt about that.
So
invented the figure eight.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to drive this way. You drive that way. Let's not hit each other.
Let's meet in the middle.
Well, not the sharpest taco on the tree, as my grandmother was one to say.
And then they got that done, and they said, let's chain two cars together and run a figure eight race.
The chain race, the flagpole race, the school buses, all of these things.
The flagpole, the flagpole race. I had never heard of such a thing as a young buck, and I remember I was leaving the speedrome one night after racing. I think I raced a Kenyan car or something there,
right?
And we got about 90% of the way out to our car, and we hear them come on the thing. Well, like road runners or something they were called there.
Yeah.
The road runners are coming out for their feature, and we're going to run an around the flagpole race.
Then you're like,
we dropped our stuff and said, we got to see this. And we went, and it was pretty fun.
It's that line from Top Gun. You're going to do what?
Yeah. I'll never forget. Like we were, for some reason, I think I was driving for somebody. So we were parked like behind the main grandstand, and we were about to turn 4. And we hear this, and we dropped our stuff off and turned around and went back in the main gate and got a seat.
You're going to tell me that you've won like 140 plus feature races? I bet you've never won a flagpole race, have you?
I never have. Never.
Wow.
I mean, I've never lost a flagpole
That's
race
true.
either, so.
We might need to rectify this at some point in time.
Well, we're going to have to get to a certain number of races, and we might have to supplement.
I was going to say, we're going to put the wreck and rectify if we do.
That's right.
Rex will damn near kill him.
I think if we put Corny with that face on there,
yeah,
that maniacal, corny face.
Yeah.
I think we could actually make the nose cone on an Indy car look like a corn cob. I'm just throwing that out there, fellas.
Anything can be arranged.
So, yeah, I'll get the operations manager of the radio station to write a check. Oh, wait a minute. Just don't cash this until approximately 2038.
it'll be good.
So, it'll be good. I'll be dead, but it'll be good. So my own racing career, having grown up in a racing family, somebody made the brilliant observation that he's kind of smallish for an 8-year-old. I bet if we put him in the quarter, and he's pretty bright. If we teach him to drive the quarter, we could probably get 2 seasons out of him, which was a pretty reasonable idea. And so, I drove a season, and then I turned 9, and somewhere before the next summer, I had the first growth spurt, and then couldn't fit in the car. So they lost that second season with me, and I'll even flash forward a bit. The hot thing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, lots of the Indy events, is the 2-seater. Mm-hmm. I know that I think there are 3 2-seater cars now. One of them is exclusively Mario's, as I understand it. Only Mario drives one of the 2-seaters. But the very first year they did the 2-seater, I was one of the media folks who took the ride. And they needed Crisco and a shoehorn to get me into that car. I am all of 6'2", and actually then I'm about the weight I am now, not much over 200, right around 208, 209.
2010?
Yeah, 2010. 220, 221, whatever it takes. At one point, as Jonathan well knows, I had ballooned to 241, and that would have been comedy. I looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man if you tried to get me into that car. So I know a little something about being too big to fit in the car. Brian, you are a slender, fit young man. Just promise me you won't go the way of Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr. I won't call out your other boss, Mr. Stewart, who
you can now. It's fine.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to.
Yeah, he doesn't race for him anymore. So.
Well, I think Tony took his Burger King endorsement a little too seriously at one point. Is that mean?
Got to represent.
There have been times I have been worried in a Sprint Cup race. I'm like, he's not going to fit through the window.
Well, plus there was that Oreo cookie endorsement too for a while.
Yeah,
so.
But here's the thing: I don't know
if he doesn't get an endorsement for
soda cookie.
If he doesn't get an endorsement for KY, he's not going to fit in the car.
I'm not sure that that the Jonathan Byrd's chicken and noodles is going to help me in that respect. But
well, it's going to help you. I don't know if it'll help you fit the car, but it's
it'll
going to
be good for left side ballast.
Yeah, it'll be good for weight.
Yeah, thank goodness you only turn left. If you were doing road courses, that would be a problem.
That's right.
So 20 minutes in, I promised we would actually get to something substantive
We might have
today.
to do this one instead of this one right there. We're kind of doing that one.
No, I swear we're doing this one. JB2 is looking at my notes. It's such as they are. I have 4 things written on
Someone's got to
one.
executive produce this broad podcast.
I used to have an executive producer, but she got the house. So let's at least touch on the return of Jonathan Byrd Racing to the Indianapolis 500. That's kind of what has gathered us all together for 2015. Jonathan Byrd's Racing going back for the now 99th running of the Indianapolis 500. Couldn't wait another year to make it at even 100, apparently.
Well, that David's too busy on his phone.
So you got a deal to do over there, David?
You working a deal or what?
Hey, I'm the marketing guy. What can I say?
So apparently,
Well, the story's great. and
I think
Dave
these
could
guys
tell
all
the
know what they're
best.
doing.
a kilo of something is going to show up here. I don't know what deal David is working, but it's a kilo.
All right, what did I
miss?
miss? Where are we at?
So we're talking about our return to the Indianapolis 500 and how it happened.
And not 100.
Yeah,
Oh.
why the 99th and not 100? You just didn't want to wait. You're just impatient.
Pretty much.
So
Yeah. Well, I when we started the conversation about going back to Indy and we kind of cleared this through the matriarch, so had to convince Mama Jenny, as you say, that this was the right move for us, and so I started planning this in January of 2014, and I said put together the business plan and here's what we're gonna do, here's what we're gonna make it happen, here's the programs we're gonna put in place, and we're not going to do this until the 100th running, so we've got plenty of time to get this done.
Right.
And all the while, my full intention was to do this for the 99th running. And that was, I was like, if we're going to do
Never
it
going
for,
to wait 7
Boy, you wait till your father gets home. You're in the belt.
if Dad comes home, that's impressive.
That would be the story. That will be the
That
story.
would be newsworthy.
correct.
So, that was in the 100th running would have been the 20th anniversary, and it kind of the pitch was that was the 20th anniversary of Ari Leinbach setting the track record at the Speedway in the Jonathan Byrd's car. So there was kind of some symmetry, but when you got right down to it, the 99th running was going to be our 30th anniversary of our first 500 run, the 10th anniversary of our most recent 500 run. Putting, as we started having conversations with people, it just started to make more sense just to get it done, and having 13, 14 months to plan was going to be sufficient, and all the deals we wanted to make happen around it started coming together. So there was no reason to wait, and honestly, we wanted to be in a better position to be as competitive as possible for the 100th running, and the only way to do that is to be in the 99th running.
I had a coach a long time ago, a baseball coach, say, boy, actually, now that I think about it, Granddad was the one who said this, boy, the only way to learn how to hit a curveball is to hit a curveball. You just have to keep seeing pitches and get used to it. Are you used to it yet, Brian? Are you used to this big open wheel car as opposed to all these other cars we've talked about, you running wing sprints and Kenyans and road runners and all this other stuff?
Well, we'll find out here shortly, won't we?
All right.
We actually, I haven't been in the car since 2012. In an IndyCar, we'll run the open test on May 3rd, and been actually just spent some time in the simulator over at Delara a week ago or so, and just been trying to get ready, but. It's kind of funny when David. This is probably a longer story than what we have left on this this podcast. But when David came
we can
to
do
me,
a cliffhanger. Dun, dun, dun.
I was racing in Arizona, and he just. I hadn't heard from him, and he was working for a lights team that I had ran for. I hadn't heard from him in 2 or 3 years, and he tracked me down and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something." So he came in and laid it out, and
I was like, yeah,
frankly,
right.
I was like, yeah, I'm interested, but I half laughed at him. Like, here's this guy laying a program out 14 months ahead of time in front of me. I've heard this one before, and but here we are, a few weeks away, and
You believe it
we're getting
now,
ready
right?
to go.
You believe it's going to happen, right?
Well,
We're getting close.
we're getting closer.
We've teased you with some simulator stuff and
Yeah.
a shirt. Here's some liveries.
Yeah, it's not real until you get the embroidered shirt. That's which I noticed I don't have. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm
Well,
just
you
saying.
can become a Ginny 500 qualifier.
Oh, shameless plug.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Yeah.
shameless plug.
Yeah.
I expected that from him, not from you.
That's why he's the extraordinary.
Well played, sirs. So, Brian, I have made you promise me one thing, making this step up to the IndyCar. Just don't go Roberto Guerrero.
Stop bringing that up, please.
Except for the whole qualifying the pole thing.
Well, yeah.
Roberto did qualify on the pole.
Yes,
and
and
the crashing before the race started is significant because he was on the pole.
He was.
So-
yes, and we all remember it,
First part's good,
but we all remember.
So only go half Roberto. Just make sure you get the right half.
Yes, just go Erdo. No, we want the first half.
Rob.
There you go. I like this. Roberto forgot that you turn left. Maybe he thought he was running Australian.
Turn left at the right point.
Yeah.
You wait till you get to the corner
See,
and not on the front stretch, on the rear back stretch.
All in the fine details.
Details.
See, I'm old enough to have a very strong recollection of was it the 82 race with the big first lap crash where I want to say, was it Kevin Cogan's gearbox popped or something, or maybe it was
that sounds familiar.
but Kogan was out. It broke Mario's gearbox in the second row. Somebody else was knocked out, and then there was the crash farther back. So there ended up being like 4 cars knocked out before they ever got going. So that's the one I remember most strongly, even more than the Roberto Guerrero situation.
I would have liked to have helped him recollect that, but I wasn't born yet.
See, even the problem with the Roberto Guerrero story is Brian was only 3 when that happened.
Which reminds me, Brian, how's your mom? Because apparently she's my age. That's not weird for me at all. Here I am talking about a race from before you were born.
Actually, I'll Facebook message with Brian's dad. You know, like once a week, he'll like drop me a message and we'll chat back and forth. And I don't know, when I think of myself, I think of myself more like Brian's age, and I'm not. I mean,
right.
I'm like, you know, almost like 50% older than him. So when I'm like messaging with his dad, who I'm actually closer in age to than I am to Brian, I'm like, why am I like chatting with, you know, my best friend's dad? You know, this is kind of awkward. But then I realize it's actually, you know, I'm actually much closer to Tim than in age than I am to Brian.
How old's
so
your
it's
It's 49 or 50.
Yeah, he's only 10 years older than me.
Yeah, he's 49 or 50.
This won't make you feel better, but I'll tell you anyway. There was a point at which I may or may not have been, let's say, involved with someone whose stepfather was younger than I.
all right. I'm trying to do some calculations here.
I know
but
it's not a
Carry the ones.
It's not a family tree. It's ivy. I understand that.
some things is a good thing or a bad thing.
Her mom had remarried, and the gentleman was younger, although I wouldn't say significantly younger. It was plus or minus 5 years, I think. But I was older than her stepfather. That's not weird. That's not weird at all. So
Only on Christmas.
when you're doing that, all right, let's open the presents in age order, and I'm the one going last.
I didn't realize you were from Kentucky.
I didn't say she was my sister. Although that's another story for another time.
That's another podcast.
So somehow in there you were your own grandpa, like
Yes.
somewhere in that
You
whole
know what?
story.
Sit on your own lap and tell yourself stories. That'll rinse your back out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There are members of my family who can put their head up their own ass. But breathe deeply. And so we come to...
And on that note.
And on that note, we come to the end of another glorious 30 minutes.
Glorious.
So that's what happens when...
Come to John the Birds.
Fried chicken,
I-65 exit 99 Main Street in
a
Greenwood.
ringing endorsement.
macaroni and cheese.
Mama Jenny is going to come to me and say, wait till their father gets home, I think is what's going to happen. I'm Ron Briel from Corn Country 100.3, Jonathan Byrd II, Brian Clausen, and David Byrd. Till we get together again, best of health and luck. and we're very, very sorry.